York's classic rock, Q1043.
Ken Dash out Q104.3, New York's classic rock with the word legend gets thrown around. But sorry, people have been hearing your voice. I've been playing your voice on the radio since the 70s. Lou Gramm, the voice, the sound, the lyrics of Foreigner. Hi, Lou. Welcome back.
And how are you?
Great. So one of my favorite joys of joys, Jan Wenner allegedly said to the band, "It'll be a cold day in hell when you get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame." And nothing makes me happier than knowing that on October 19th, you're going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And we don't care what the temperature is.
Listen, folks, we always, every time there are nominees and things, it's a star chamber. It's not like sports where the number of albums sold means anything to these people. It's just, do they like you or do they not? Do they think you're hip or not? And sorry, if you've got a legacy of how many millions of albums sold, of how many millions upon millions of people have seen you and enjoyed your work, that defines a great rock band to me because the songs live forever. We've never stopped playing. They're not tired. They're not a great song's a great song. Mozart is fantastic. Gershwin's fantastic. Foreigner. I mean, legendary music's legendary music. Congratulations. What a great legacy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And what you just said is right along the line of what I think too.
I'm so glad. So the reason that I'm having Lou on Breakfast with the Beatles, no, Foreigner didn't cover a Beatles song, but on the new anthology, career anthology 2LP set, you created I don't know if it's a new song or an old song. Explain where Turning Back the Time came from.
Well, in the '90s, it had been a while since Foreigner had put out a full new music album, and Mick and I were busy writing away with the intent of putting out a brand new album, and I think we had about 8 or 9 songs that were almost ready to record. And at that time, I became ill and I had to have a brain tumor removed, and that set us back maybe almost a year. And after that, we were playing in Europe, and Mick and I had some differences, and decided to call it quits. And so those I think 8 songs that we had ready, and I thought were just awesome songs, very different, very reminiscent of another time, and I think we were clicking as a writing team for sure, and so I had a rough copy of the demos, and I kept wondering if anything was ever going to come of it, and then Phil Carson and I, who communicate periodically, told me that to go along with the induction in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, there was going to be a few different greatest hits albums released over the next year and a half, and every one of them would have 1 or 2 of our new Foreigner songs on it. If it were my choice, I would have released all the new songs as an album, but at least they're seeing the light of day, and I think Turning Back the Time is doing quite well in the charts.
Let me play that for the audience. And folks, you're going to know in 2 seconds why this song means so much, why I knew I had to play it on Breakfast with the Beatles. This is Turning Back the Time. It's Lou Gramm, Mick Jones. It's Foreigner on Q104.3, New York's classic rock. Then I'm going to play the song for them.
Yeah, go ahead.
And, so I'm going to come back from it, right?
Okay.
That's Turning Back the Time, a Foreigner song that, as Lou explained, was written years back and never saw the light of day from the new career anthology. I saw the Beatles on my black and white TV. Lou, so many musicians, I would say most musicians have told me that same story, from Randy Bachman, who was just in town. What Little Steven's always said, and he's my running buddy. We do the live breakfast with the Beatles together
Nice.
when he's not on tour. As Stevie always said, on February 8th, 1964, there were probably 200 rock bands in America. By February 10th, you couldn't find a tambourine from Maine to Baja California.
That is funny, honestly. Wow.
I had so many people. I can't, the list would take the rest of our Zoom of telling me, going, that's what I'm doing. That's what, not the chills and the girl screaming, but that's what I'm doing. Stevie said when he went to see Hard Day's Night, girls were running up and kissing the screen. And you're sitting there
Wow.
as a boy going, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. Tell me what that experience was for you.
Seeing the Beatles, you mean?
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. I think I was 12 years old, and I was sitting on the living room sofa with my parents and my older brother Ben and my younger brother Richard. And when Ed Sullivan announced the Beatles and the curtain came up and they were playing, I was mesmerized, not only by their striking different looks and their awesome suits and their Beatle boots, but most and more than that was the sound of the band. It was traditional instruments, but not played in a real traditional way. And I thought the arrangements were unique and sparse, and you got to hear the voices and the harmonies and the guitars striking the chords and George Harrison's interesting and creative leads, which they always were. And their arrangements were I think the songs were just under 3 minutes, and I think that the arrangements they did on Ed Sullivan were the same, exactly the same as what was on the single record. Same ending, same beginning, and everything. And it really, I was already interested in music, and it blew me away. And I remember after hearing that first song on Ed Sullivan, I turned to my mom and dad and I says, "That's what I want to do when I grow up."
When you were 12,
Yes, and they laughed at me. They laughed and laughed and laughed.
as George Thorogood and yourself and Stephen and Bruce, everyone has told their version of this exact same story. And look at the legacy you've all given us, through these years. Did you have a favorite Beatle? Was there one where you said that guy?
Uh, um, I liked them all at first, but John stood out to me as the his attitude and his stage presence, and I began to really take to his voice and his style of singing, and eventually when I started looking at the records and see who was writing what, it actually was his songwriting style that appealed to me too.
Got it. So you were a John kid early on. Do you remember your first band, your first group? Did you when did that start for you? When you first like got together with friends and tried to play, and were you doing Beatles songs like everybody else?
Yes, we were. It was a high school band early on, and it was called the St. James Infirmary, and we played. It was a top 40 band, but the Beatles at that point were dominating the top 40, and of all the songs we played in our set, I always look forward to doing the Beatles songs because we were able to figure out the harmonies and actually do them so they sounded similar to the Beatle harmonies and stuff, and it always got great response, and it was a lot of fun to play those songs.
Yeah, you can't go if you can play them well, the gig is going to go well because
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what we felt.
and here we are in 2024. I kid you not, Saturday night, I'm walking my dog down Third Avenue in Manhattan, going by like a hipster kind of bar that does live music on the weekend. Everybody's in their 20s in the place, and they're playing 8 days a week. And the band's been
A band, or
a band is
nice.
playing 8 days a week, and everybody's singing along. I stopped and had to get this on my phone, and I thought, nobody made them play that. Nobody that, hey, we want to get the crowd going. And I thought, think about this journey. It's 2024. If if you it doesn't happen, it's not supposed to happen. It would be like in 1967 in a dance club playing Stardust by Hoagie Carmichael or something. It's
Right.
not supposed to transcend this many years, and yet here we are still talking about it, still playing it. Bad Company. Yeah, Johnny was a schoolboy when he heard his first Beatles song, Love Me
Yeah,
Do It. It's referenced so many times in all of our iconic music and arts. And who's stopping? McCartney's out there. Ringo's going to be in town this week. Nobody's stopping because the music really matters. One of my favorite stories of what I learned so much about the Beatles from you guys, not the authors in the books, from musicians. And it was from the Moody Blues, from John Lodge, who said, we're the big band in local band in Birmingham. We're El Riot and the Rebels playing surf music, trying to sound like the Shadows. And one weekend, we're told, hey, there's this band from Liverpool, 63, the Beatles. They're going to be the headliners. What? A band from Liverpool? We're in Birmingham. We're the no, they got a record contract. So we played and we stood in the front with our arms folded, glaring at them. And he said, what you don't understand is everything we'd ever seen is one guy in front and two, three, four guys behind him. Of Buddy Holly and the Crickets,
sure,
Elvis
that's
and the
right.
right. There's one guy, handsome guy in front, and people behind him doing steps. And when they came in, they set up three microphones in the front. He said, remember, no one had ever seen that before. Three microphones in the front. And we sat there going, well, okay, which one? He's the singer. No, wait, he's singing. Wait, all three of them are singing. All three of them take lead songs.
Wasn't there one microphone that the lead voice was, and the other two sang on one microphone too,
Yes, that was
right?
it. Right, where they each took turns. And
Yes.
he said, I was playing guitar at the time, and I turned to our bass player. I said, can you sing? He said, no. He goes, and I realized that was the end of that band. It was a new paradigm of
Oh,
how it has to
jeez.
be. You like from that moment on, like, the other two guys or somebody's got to sing harmonies. It's not just this guy and the band, Cliff Richard and the Shadows,
Yes.
that kind of stuff. It changed so much. Lou, looking back through it, I mean, for me, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, with all that's nuts about it, it's for the fans. It's that for all your fans for your whole life can feel
Yes,
like,
there.
yes, but don't you think my guys are in? Yeah, exactly. What
Yeah, it's a wonderful feeling to be when we were nominated, and it's an awesome feeling to be about to be inducted formally, and I think that the remaining members of Foreigner are going to be thrilled, and I think the ones who've passed on will be thrilled too.
uh, you know, Ian McDonald, may he rest in peace, became a dear friend here, lived in New York. And we talked about it so much about this legacy from King Crimson to Foreigner. And, it's just a lovely guy. And he was so proud of what you guys created. He said, and Mick Jones had called him. He told the story on the air of trying to find a singer for this new band. And we heard this recording that you did with your old band. And I said to him, that's the voice, that's the singer.
You know where they heard the recording
Tell
that
me,
Mick was playing in Spooky Tooth,
right?
and they played the Auditorium Theater in Rochester, and Spooky Tooth was on A&M Records. My band, Black Sheep, uh, uh, our manager was a A&M Records rep. So when Spooky Tooth came to town, he got us all tickets to see the show, and then got us backstage to meet the band. And I had our two Black Sheep albums on Capitol Records with me, and I gave them to Mick, and I said, Mick, here's what my band sounds like. When you get a chance, give it a listen.
Wow.
And when he did, then he was interested in my voice.
I never heard that story before. I don't think that story's ever been told. Thank you so much for sharing it. That's just awesome. Lou Gramm, what success. Congratulations. A career
Thank you so
anthology.
much.
So
I'm humbled, honestly.
was so well deserved. I want to see you out there more. We do more of these and tour and perform. Your voice is still so intact. And again, when you can say, as soon as I hear someone's voice, I know who it is. I hate to say this, but it's absolutely true. In the pop world of auto tuning today, can you really discern this person's computerized voice from that person's computerized voice? No, there's
No,
no there's no differentiation. You can always make it perfect, but
the
rock and roll
auto,
was never perfect.
the auto tuning takes the character out of the voice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You can never confuse Lou Gramm with Mick Jagger. That's a good thing. Mick's
Yes, it is.
Mick. It's you're supposed to sound Bruce Springsteen's supposed to sound nothing like Lou Gramm. There's not a model. Lou is Lou. Those songs live forever, and everybody does their own thing. One last quick story before I let you go. I told you Stevie's a dear friend, and there was years back, Paul McCartney was playing at the Garden, and he invited Stevie and Bruce to come and said to him, "Why don't you come up with me towards the end and we'll play I Saw Her Standing There." So, and this goes right back to your song, Turning Back the Time. I saw the Beatles on my black and white TV. So they're on side stage waiting to come on. And Stevie said to Bruce, "Did you ever think when we were sitting in our bedrooms listening to the transistor radio?" And Bruce said, "Shut up." No, but I mean, when we were watching Ed Sullivan, he said, don't, just shut up." Because and I was laughing so hard because I understood. I'm trying to concentrate on the song and the notes because if I stop and think about that I'm walking on this stage, that this little boy, I'll freeze.
You'll intimidate yourself.
Exactly.
That's a very cool story.
I love that. From whether you're Bruce Springsteen or Lou Gramm or all of us, we got the chills. And this song, Turning Back the Time, the anthology, congratulations and congratulations, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
Yes,
October 19th.
incredibly happy about that, honestly.
Uh, Lou, so well deserved. Well done, you, as our British friends say.
Ah,
Don't be a stranger. Come by Q104.3 whenever you want.
would love it. Thank you so much.
This was a ball. Thank you.
Same
Thank you.
for me.
Thank you.
Same for me.
All
Let's
right.
do it again. Talk
I
to you
would
soon.
love that. Absolutely. And I mean that sincerely. Whenever you need something, just have Gary or just reach out and holler.
Appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Be well.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye now.
New York's classic rock, Q1043.